to the Emo Hour, your weekly power hour of all things emo and adjacent, with your hosts, Katie and Nani.
Welcome to the very first episode of the Emo Hour podcast. My name is Katie.
And I'm Nani. I'm so excited we're here.
We're so excited. Both of us are so excited to be here. We've had a radio show for a while called the Emo Hour, and we just decided, let's do more.
Yeah. Well, and our radio show, we're based in Idaho, and our radio show, it spans far and wide, but we wanted something that would reach a little bit further. And so thought that this would be a really fun idea. And we have so many things to talk about. We just need another place to talk about things.
Yes. And it's all things emo and emo adjacent and other things too, whatever else we want to talk about. But that's the plan. We have lots of ideas for different episodes. Today we have a great episode that we're going to get into, but I don't know, is there anything else to...
Yeah, we should probably talk about the structure a little bit. Like every week, we're going to try to have a theme every single week. Mm-hmm. We're always going to kind of start off with one of our favorite things, which is like what's making you emo this week.
Yes.
And then like we do on our radio show, we want to have a emo lyric of the day. So she and I will always surprise each other with an emo lyric of the day. And it'll
paired with a song recommendation.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll build a playlist too. After each episode, we'll add the songs from the emo lyric of the day to the playlist, and we can share that on Spotify and on our Instagram and all the good stuff.
Speaking of Spotify and Instagram, follow us on at the Emo Hour Girls on Instagram and TikTok, where we're so active currently.
So active. Also, many ideas for TikTok
so
and
many
Instagram
ideas.
Reels. We'll get there. We're just, you got to build from the ground up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we are. Started from the bottom, now we're here.
The Emo Hour podcast.
It begins today.
It begins today. Thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
And we should say that like we have so many ideas as to what to talk about, but if you ever have any ideas, please DM us, please comment below, please
share with us like interesting stories. We'd love to do some deep dives on some things if you know of something that we could look into. And I like to research, so we'll do some deep dives of research and get into some stuff. Bands, it's easy to do deep dives on bands, but we'll definitely do some of that.
Yeah, definitely Youngblood. I definitely want to do a deep dive on Youngblood.
Yes.
I have a new obsession with him.
We'll do some modern day emo stuff, some more old school emo stuff. Well, it's going to be a great mix. We're so excited.
So, Katie, one thing I know that we talked about that I think we should do is just say a little bit about us. Like, who are we, right? Like, I think it might be interesting for people to get to know us a smidgen. So, because we have we're both elder emos, but we have very different versions of elder emos and very different backgrounds. But we
different phases of life, yes.
Yeah. But our friendship, really, it started out of our mutual love of probably discovery of mutual love of Emery, and then the fact that we both just love emo music so much.
Yes. So much so that we started a radio show. Frankly, people probably don't care too much about like getting into the deep of our personal lives at this moment.
Yeah. But like, who are you? Who are you, Katie?
I'm Katie. I'm an elder emo, which means to me, at least, that like the highlight of our emo years is mid 2000s or the whole decade of the 2000s.
As my uncle would say, the aughts.
Yes. I'm an attorney. I'm married. I have a daughter who I'm raising to be a little emo as well.
She already is.
And that's me in a nutshell. I mean, boring.
It's not that boring. I think it's pretty awesome. I'm Nani, and different background than Katie. My name is derived from Hawaii. I was born in Hawaii and kind of made a big circle around the United States. And my background is in the music industry. I was an artist manager for a really long time. And now I'm like a large, we'll call it event producer is probably the easiest way to explain it. And I'm single and very different than Katie, and we'll get into this at some point, I'm sure.
Yes.
And I would also consider myself very much an elder emo. spent a lot of years on Warped Tour, which I think is we might talk about a little bit today.
Maybe.
And
Foreshadowing.
And yeah, I love music. I love music so much, and I feel really grateful to have met Katie and to have this really wonderful, beautiful friendship that we have. And
thank you.
And just kind of like this renewed excitement around, I think, around emo music for me specifically, because it's not every day that you meet somebody that is just excited and wants to share, you know, new and old music with one another in a specific genre.
Yeah. And you, I mean, have a lot more credentials than I do in terms of music. Like, I just like music.
We all like music.
It's a passion. Yeah, it's pretty basic to say I like music. But I think you'll relate to this. I'm very much the type that, you know, high school, I was very angsty, very emo, went to college, lived my 20s, kind of went away from emo for quite a while, I would say. I kind of went country, which we'll get into that streamline, because
don't ever ask her about the alternative, because she will school you.
That's a very, very much a thing. Like the streamline, what am I trying to say? The direction between, you know, emo to country, very much a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And emo country, like real country, not like bro country. Anyway.
There's a strong correlation.
Yeah. But definitely in the last several years been like circling back to emo.
Oh, yeah.
And it's perfect time too, because so many cool, exciting things happening in the emo world.
So many things.
But I very much would say, like, we're elder emos, but we have, you know, full-time important jobs. So we're like screaming, taking back Sunday, driving to work with our 401ks.
It's very real.
So that's who we are. And I'm sure there's a community out there. I know there's a community out there that we'll relate to.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to do with this podcast too.
Yeah. I want to build our adult emo community as large as possible.
Yes, because none of our other friends, at least locally.
Have we found you? Please tell me we found you.
We have some great friends locally, but they're not.
They don't love it.
They're not
like
emo.
we do.
They're supportive and they're wonderful, but they're not emo.
Yeah, it's true. It's
so
true.
we got to find, and we have, you know, friends in distances that are emo, so that's great too.
Right.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
Roni, what's making you emo today? Or this week?
Or this week, yeah. I mean, today, I guess, and this week. I think it's been everything kind of leading up to this first episode. I'm mostly feeling emo in the sense of, like, deep gratefulness around the fact that we're doing this for the first time. We've been talking about doing this for a while, and we're here, and we're doing it.
We're doing it.
And I'm just really excited about it because we have so much fun with our radio show that if we have even just, like, a portion of fun as we do at our radio show, this is going to be the best time ever.
Right, yes. Well, that's great. I love that.
Does it make you emo?
It makes me emo, too.
Oh, what are you emo about this week?
My shoes!
Oh, my God! They're not the platforms.
No,
So she's wearing the classic Vans checkered, you know.
Slip-on.
Yeah, slip-on.
Yeah.
Like, you just bought those, didn't you?
Yeah, they just arrived today.
Oh, hell yeah. I should
This is the
have put mine
first time
on.
I've worn them.
I have that exact pair, but in platform.
Right.
Which, by the way, the difference in height here, I'm 5'8", you're 5'4".
4.
Yeah. I'm the one with the platforms.
That's who you are.
It is who I am. There's still a piece of me that, like, wishes I was in the Spice Girls. So there's that.
Well, me too. Me too.
Ain't that the truth?
But I'm excited. I ordered these Vans, classic checkered Vans. They came in today. This is the first time I'm wearing them. Just very nostalgic. Yeah, you do have a pair that's, you know, you've had on standby and you wear frequently.
Oh, yeah.
I told you, my memory of the Vans slip-ons was that it was a little tight on my foot. And so
How does it feel?
Feels great.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for you.
Feels so great. That's what's making me emo.
Yeah, we're talking about feet.
Yeah, we are. Anyway, moving on. Topic of the day.
Warped Tour.
Warped Tour is back. So, just some facts to start out. So it has been circulated for probably 2 months now.
Yeah, a few months.
Ish. Mm-hmm. I'm sure in some circles, I'm sure it was circulated well before that. But Warped Tour it was rumored to come back, and I was like, what does this mean? You know, what is it going to
What
look
does it
like?
mean?
Who's involved? Who's producing it? Whatever.
Right. Originally, I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to bring back 40 dates or like 30 dates
Yeah.
across the country. Like, is this going to be what we know and love?
Right. And
Not quite.
It's not. So Kevin Lyman did confirm it like pretty early on. And as of the day of recording, like tickets are pre-sale is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Tickets are $149, starting at $149 for the 2-day event. There's 3 dates. So there's one in June. The first one, I'm sorry, Washington, D.C., June 14th, 15th. Long Beach, California, July 26th and 27th. Orlando, Florida, November 15th and 16th.
Which, like, they span the United States. So, like, I think that's pretty awesome.
Yes. Only 3 dates, definitely mixed reviews on that.
Well, here's my thing. I think they're just going to test this out and see what kind of response they get.
Sure.
I mean, also $149, we've seen a lot of people talking about the fact that this is expensive, or, you know, people are having their own opinions on everything. If you think about it, it's like $75 a day. Take away ticket fees, it's like $40, right? Yeah. 40 or $50. With inflation, you go back to like the days that, you know, we were attending.
Spending, I think it was $40.
It's the same thing.
It is.
It's the same thing, and frankly, like, they're not traveling, you know, when they're doing a 40 stop date, or sorry, a 40 stop tour across the country, like, you've got repetition there, so it's helping pay for things. Mm-hmm. These are just one-off bits, so they're having to build a city every single time. They're not traveling with their city.
Right.
So there's a lot of expenses there, and then, of course, I'm sure they're going to have 5 million sponsors to help offset the costs. But how cool is it that they're using the sponsorship to offset the cost for the person attending versus just putting it in their pocket?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Kevin Lyman.
And for festivals nowadays, I agree, it's not expensive.
Hell yes, Kevin Lyman. Yeah. That's all I have to say. I have deep respect for that man. He's done something for the scene that nobody else has, and, you know, he's even done like the Punk Rock Museum
in Vegas.
In Vegas, yeah. He has his hand in a lot of things that are kind of helping create the legacy and extend, like, just make the scene bigger.
Right.
Yeah. Just respect for rock music.
Yeah, and you know Kevin Lyman.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's right. So, I do, and we should actually talk about our individual experiences of Warped Tour too.
We'll get into
that.
I'm
totally jumping ahead. Sorry, you know me. That's who I am. But the wildest thing. So I was traveling. I've been traveling like crazy. I still sound a little congested from all of my traveling. But I ran into Kevin Lyman in the Phoenix airport the other day. It was the wildest thing. I'm like,
this is what is wild. Like, at first, sorry, I just totally jumped in.
You're fine.
But at first, when you told me, I figured you guys were both in the Delta Lounge together, and that's how you saw him. But the way that you saw him is pretty ridiculous.
I wasn't even flying Delta, which I'm such a Delta girl, but I was flying, I think, American. But I was on one of those, like, the people movers, like an escalator but flat.
Yeah.
What
are those called, actually?
I think people movers. I don't know.
That's all.
And he's going in the opposite direction. So we just have like this meet cute in the middle. I was like, Kevin!
And amazing that you guys like noticed each other.
Oh, wild.
Because
wild.
If I'm in an airport, I don't really look at people. You know what I mean?
Neither do I. Or I'm looking at my phone or something. Yeah. I'm listening to music.
Yeah.
And it was the funniest thing. And so we had, you know, a decently brief moment of just like quick hellos. How are you?
Right.
And then went on our merry way because obviously we were both trying to catch our flight, and I was on a very tight connection. And it just was like the most exciting thing ever, and so timely.
Right.
Like so timely with everything. So.
Yeah, because at that point, like, Warped Tour had definitely been confirmed. I think ticket prices maybe were out at that time. Still now, no bands have been announced. And I think there's a lot of questions about, like, what is it going to be? How many stages are there going to be? Presumably it's a different lineup each day.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because if they have a bunch of different stages, they might just want to do kind of similar things both days so that you have an opportunity to like mix it up each day.
Right.
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on?
Yeah, I mean, this is just me like basing it off, I guess, of experience, and so I could be totally wrong here, but I feel like we're going to see some repetition from date to date as it relates to Washington D.C.
Sure.
versus Long Beach versus Orlando. I think we're going to see some reoccurrence. I hope that Kevin brings back the Kevin Says stage, because that, like, it's just cool. He's throwing on bands that he loves, things are like great,
Right.
that we need to listen to.
And that's the other thing I kind of forgot about. Each stage was like very specific.
Yep.
It was like the Hurley stage.
Yep.
I mean, you probably would have more examples than I would.
Well, and then I'm kind of forgetting too, because like the last iterations of Warped Tour, actually the very, very last tour that Warped Tour did, which was like 2019, I want to say, or maybe 18, was fewer dates. They didn't go across the country. They just did, you know, kind of what they're doing right now. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I don't know. But then Zoomies was part, or I think it wasn't Zoomies. It was Journeys was sponsoring it.
Sense, yeah.
So, which is funny because it's another shoe thing. You know, Vans Warped Tour.
Vans.
But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. And then day 1 to day 2, it'd be cool if there's a little bit of repetition, because if you think about like when we were young Fest, it was back to back.
Right.
Like, that way, just so many bands get overlapped with each other.
Right.
That how do you choose? Like, how do you choose Chiodos or 303?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
I would choose 303.
I'd choose Chiodos.
Exactly. This is why we're such a great match.
Bye.
Bye. See you later.
Have fun. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There were 10 stages. The stages at Warped Tour, I think, depended on the year and the location, right? But there was minimum of 7.
So many
probably.
stages.
Yeah, like that's a lot. And the big inflatable schedule.
Yep, they're bringing it back.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh,
They talked about it. So
they have to.
They have to. It's iconic.
They have to.
I
Yeah.
do hope that they bring, like, they create a larger entrance. Like, when we were Young Festival, they had that really cool Vans, like the checkerboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a super cool arched or arced,
Yeah.
like checkerboard. I hope they do something like that. That's super iconic.
I bet they will.
I hope so.
Like a great photo opportunity.
You need a photo op.
Yeah,
Always.
I think they will.
Yeah.
And the inflatable schedule, I think in itself is going to be like a photo opportunity as well.
Like, she's
much
back.
more than it was when we were going to Warped Tour, because
Yes.
photo ops were just not as much of a thing.
No, it was
then,
carrying around a
and
BlackBerry.
Camera quality. We didn't have cameras on our phone.
I did.
Okay, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
If you had it,
So grainy.
depending on what year we're talking, and then I had a digital camera, but if I took any pictures at Warped Tour, I don't think I have them now.
Yeah. I just think about like uploading it to MySpace. And like all the different, there were so many steps, and now it's just like click, upload.
Right.
Which is wild.
We should try to find your MySpace.
Oh my gosh.
I think I successfully deleted mine a long time ago,
feel like
and I wish I wouldn't have.
I think I did too.
Oh, that's a bummer.
We could have a whole thing on MySpace.
Actually, future episode, MySpace.
I know,
Stay
right?
tuned.
Tom, where's Tom these days?
Oh, he's living it up in the
sure.
Bahamas or somewhere.
In the Bahamas, specifically the Bahamas.
I don't know. Some island, I'm sure. He made a ton of money and moved on with his life. Good for him.
So the other thing I saw about Warped Tour this go around is that the way that they're going to release bands is the idea is that they're going to start with some smaller, more unknown artists, so that people actually take the time to discover them. Because I think what's important, and what I think Kevin is probably trying to do, is make it so it's not like this legacy nostalgia.
Yes.
Like pretty much what When We Were Young. When we're young, it's like mostly all legacy artists who have been around for probably at least 10 years, probably 20 years.
Yeah. I would say, and there's just a lot of nostalgia fests right now. I mean, they're like When We Were Young, which we'll talk about in a future episode, I'm sure, more. But there's Furnace Fest, which I feel like that's mostly just legacy artists. There's Sad Summer Fest. Like all the festivals that are happening right now in this world are mostly legacy artists.
Yep. And Sad Summer, actually, I will say, Sad Summer did a great job of kind of filling in the gap while Warped Tour has been gone.
Yeah.
And that's a cool festival that they've been building.
Right.
But yeah.
But we'll find out more.
Yes, yeah, we will.
And
very soon.
Very soon. I mean,
and I'm
who
excited to
knows?
see like what younger artists they choose to put on the bill, because I'm sure they're going to be great. There's so many good new emo artists that are out there.
Yes. And they are. We'll do a whole episode on that too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like, who's to thank for the emo resurgence? It's not just one person, but
Oh my God, there's so many people, right?
yeah. So, What? Yeah. Do you want to talk about your Warped Tour experience?
Yeah,
Let's,
sure.
Let's get into it.
I'm happy to. So back in college, which is kind of when I spent the most time going to Vans Warped Tour, I had a clothing company with my best friend, Sophia. Best friend at the time. I'm so sorry, Katie.
A shot to the heart.
No. She's still one of my best friends, and I love her so much. And so we had a clothing company called Bank Clothing, and Bank was kind of like the streetwear answer to all of us emo kids. You know, there was Glamour Kills, there were other brands out there making different items, but we saw a specific area that we wanted to be making clothing, and it was kind of this like streetwear, like scene, I don't know, streetwear and scene meets, I don't know. It was just like really, really fun, colorful, vibrant clothing. Mm-hmm. And so probably the most famous item we made is a purple hoodie that had an all-over print of like diamonds and stars. And Gabe Saporta wore it all the time of Cobra Starship, or of Midtown, depending on who you're a bigger fan of. And I mean, but everybody did. 303, We the Kings, Chiodos, Miley Cyrus, Metro Station, like you name it.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, because let's be real, she's an elder emo.
Ooh, we should do a deep dive into
We
that.
should. Oh,
Yeah.
she did. Boys Like Girls. She dated all the emo guys too.
Yeah.
I don't know if people actually know that. And so, yeah, and her best friend is. We need to have a Taylor Swift episode.
Yeah, we do.
But yeah,
Her best friend. Sorry, did you want to finish your?
Oh,
thought?
her best friend is a total emo kid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's like some amazing pictures back
Like
in
her
the day.
high school best friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't remember her name, but yeah, so I spent like my experience on Warped Tour is from kind of the back end where I was on tour selling clothing. Like
So
we
you had your own booth,
had
or
our own
tent
booth,
or whatever.
yeah. Which also I should say, I did see that they're gonna do the same thing. They're not gonna have like Live Nation merch booths for this new version of Warped Tour. They're still
Okay.
gonna have nonprofits
Oh.
and people having the ability to have their own booths, which I think is
I know
super.
Jack Van is working on getting her own. I've
Yeah.
seen her post that
Yeah.
online. So
Yeah, I feel like that's super exciting too. Like I
Yeah.
think that's gonna be amazing.
maybe you should bring Bank Clothing back.
I know I need to talk to Sophie and see if maybe if she wants to do that. That would be really fun.
Ooh.
I don't know. We'll see.
That would be cool.
It would be fun. So
So what year were you on tour?
I believe we did 7, 8, and 9. 2007, 2008, 2009. 2008 was like our favorite best year, and by our I mean I guess mine favorite year. And it was such a wild time. Like we split a bus with Alisana, a band from North Carolina, and Jack Vanek had a spot on our bus as well. And we just had like the most amazing summer. Like if you can
Yeah.
imagine, like you listen to music all day and you party all night. You fall asleep on your bus while you get driven to the next stop.
Yeah.
And then you wake up, you're in a new city, a new state, and you rinse and repeat the whole thing. It is the most wild experience.
As a 21-year-old or
Yeah.
something.
21, something like that,
Like-
21-ish.
That sounds like a dream.
It was.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of people were turning 21 too on that tour. Like
Yeah.
it was, everybody was around the same age, having so much fun. Like it was just epic. Like
Yeah.
the most epic. And we, like I just have so many core memories of like, and I would say like a lot of my favorite memories were actually outside of the festival itself. Like it was like off day experiences
Yeah,
in
that's fair.
Wichita, Kansas, or in Saskatoon.
Right.
Or is it Saskatchewan?
Saskatchewan.
Saskatoon is in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like, what a time to be alive because we were young, we were dumb, we had so much energy.
Yeah.
We just like went for it.
Yeah.
And had the time of our lives. And it was so fun. I like, what do you call that? Like I learned a Southern drawl. Like when I
You picked up accents.
Yes, by
Yeah.
the time, because Alisana, they were Southern, right? And a lot of them have Southern accents.
Yeah.
And so by the time I was done with that tour, you know, frankly, we drank every single day. We were partying every single day.
Yeah.
And so when I would drink, I'd like pick up a Southern drawl.
Yeah.
It was so weird. It was the weirdest thing. And I didn't know how to. That's when I got my nickname. Tsunami is when I got my nickname, because there was a few nights where I'd come back and they'd be like, oh no, Hurricane Nani is here. And then somebody got smart and realized that Tsunami and Nani have a little rhyme, alliteration, whatever. But
you don't know, you don't remember who.
I don't remember who did it. It was one of the dudes in Allison, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Or maybe their merch guy. But yeah. And it, you know, for us also, I should say that, like, I feel like I'm talking a lot, so bear with me.
No.
But the one other thing I'll say is...
It's a podcast.
Yeah, that's true. We're here to talk. One other thing that is, like, so crazy is people don't realize how difficult Warped Tour is. If you can go on Warped Tour, you can do any tour.
And can I interrupt for a minute?
Of course.
I think that's a big reason why it's not, like, the new Warped Tour is not the same, because it is a lot of work, and a lot, like Kevin Lyman, I think, even said publicly, I can't do that. Like, I can't ride a bus around 40 cities all summer. Like, we're an aging population. There's going to be young people, young bands, new artists, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's it. I mean, I didn't do it like you did, but I can only imagine, like, how difficult that is in so many ways.
And him specifically, like, as you were saying that, I had this visualization of him with, like, a radio on his back, and his skin is so tan because he's been out in the sun all day, every day.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just, like, dusty and dirty and going to the production office and, you know, or making sure that a band has water or whatever it may be. Like,
right.
You're no better than the lowest duty that could exist, right? Like, he was out there doing anything that needed to get done, because it's very punk rock, right?
Yeah.
Like, just super punk rock. And, so for us, though, our experience, which is different than a band's experience, is we wake up, we get to the venue, we wake up, we go in, we pop up our tent, we load in our merch, we set everything up. If we're lucky, we go back to the bus to have, like, a little bit of downtime and some air conditioning.
Yeah.
Because God knows.
Hot.
It is freaking hot, and if you're in Florida, it's hot and humid.
Yeah.
You feel like you're just in a bubble of, nasty. And
you're on pavement. You're on a lot of pavement.
So much or dirt.
Yeah.
And I say all of this with love, right? But the conditions are extreme, and so if we're lucky, we have a little bit of downtime. Maybe we'll go to the catering tent. Another thing that Kevin made sure is that everybody, there's so many dietary restrictions, specifically in this genre, I would say. A lot of vegans, a lot of vegetarians.
That makes sense.
You know, like PETA and stuff.
Yeah.
The catering was unbelievable. Every single day. Always made sure, like, we were like a family on that tour. And so every day, like, everybody was always taken care of.
Yeah.
Like, nobody ever felt like they didn't have the right thing to eat or something to drink or whatever it may be.
Right.
So he was really taking care of everybody on the road. We all took care of each other.
Yeah.
And so if we were lucky, we'd have a little bit of downtime. We'd go back in, the doors would open, and we would be open. And we'd be open under a tent through the entire evening. And then the show would close, we'd pack down, we'd load into the bus, and then we'd go party.
What time did it end? Do you remember?
Warped Tour is mostly during the day, so it didn't go super late.
Right.
But partially it couldn't go super late because we had to get to the next date.
Yeah.
So we would get to the next show, and these production dudes, they were so fast. They'd load these stages up, and they were super cool stages because they're semis that, like, unfold into a stage.
Right.
But if you remember, like, Warped Tour was during the day. There's no lighting.
Yeah.
Like, no real production. No, like, big filming of anything.
Right.
It was very, like, punk rock, really. Yeah. And a pop-up city. And we, everything would get loaded out. The production of, like, the stages and stuff normally would get out of there immediately because they were sleeping during the day. And then all of us, you know, drunk idiots would start drinking, have a barbecue, you know, outside of our buses. And that was, like, honestly, those were my best memories, is just hanging out and meeting different people and just sharing stories and, I don't know, learning. Oh, God, there were some games. There was this game, Buffalo, where you could only drink out of your left hand all tour, and if you're ever caught drinking out of your right hand, you had to chug the drink in your hand.
Oh, Oh my gosh.
I know.
I've heard of that game.
Yeah.
But actually more recently.
It caught me a couple times.
But I forgot. Yeah, Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo.
And so you were on the tour 3 solid years.
Yeah.
Like the whole tour?
No. So, 2008 was all of the tour. I can't remember how much of 2007 we did, but we did quite a bit. And we also did quite a bit on 9. And then we also, I think we did a few dates on 6 maybe. Because we were just getting going. And my friend Kate, who she ran a ton of stuff for Warped Tour. She's one of my best friends that I actually made out of the tour. She's just the best human ever. I still remember this call to this day, and she does too. She remembers it just being like, who is this girl that's calling me? But it was right before Warped Tour was going to start, and I was just trying to figure out some way for our clothing line to make it onto the tour. And by the end of like however many phone calls or whatever, she's like, you know what? We're going to find space for you. And so she did.
Oh, that's so great.
It's like, I love her so much. So
you are good at asking for what you want and getting it.
Thank you.
I will say
you
that.
are too, because you're a lawyer.
Yeah, I think you're better at it.
Oh, well, that's nice. I disagree with that.
I advocate for my clients.
Yes, you do.
That's what I do.
Ain't that the truth? So yeah, I guess that's a very lengthy version of my experience.
Right.
And I could go so much deeper into things, but yeah, what a time to be alive. What
a life to live. I mean, especially at that age, and it sounds amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me your end of this, because one thing we did realize is that we were at the same date in Boise, Idaho on the 2008 Warped Tour.
Yes.
You were a concert goer and I was setting up my tent, but I actually remembered I didn't set up that day because we were exhausted.
Oh.
And we decided not to set up. And
At all?
Nope, we didn't set up a tent.
Oh, shoot.
I just went and enjoyed the day and relaxed and
yeah. Interesting.
Which, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe you would have had a bank clothing item had I set up that day.
Maybe. So my Warped Tour experience was very different. While you were being an entrepreneur and, making money, and that was like a job for you, I am a couple years younger, so I was like fresh out of high school.
Way to rub it in.
I said a couple years. And that's the other thing. So I figured out recently, it must have been the 2007 and the 2008 that I went to, which I would have thought that it was earlier than that. I was thinking that I went in like 05, 06, but in my research and the fact that we remember
Katy Perry.
I remember Katy Perry being at Warped Tour in Boise. That was definitely 2008.
Definitely 2008.
You know what? I don't know. The first Warped Tour that I went to, let's start there, because I still have a hard time believing that was 2007. I feel like that would have been earlier, but I did some research, and I remember Yellow Card in Salt Lake, my first Warped Tour, and I think that was 2007.
Oh my gosh. We also would have probably been at the same one then too.
Yeah. Anyway, so my experience, which I just feel like it was 06 though. Anyway, moving on. I'll figure that out in my brain at some point.
I know, don't you hate that when you can't pinpoint it?
Yeah.
Memories, man.
So my first Warped Tour experience, I was saying, you were like, it was like a job for you and like an entrepreneurial event.
It was a job party. I would call it a job party.
And my dad didn't want me to go. Neither of my parents, but specifically I remember my dad not wanting me to go.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I want to go so bad. This is amazing. They're coming to Boise. I want to do this. This sounds incredible. Like so many of my favorite bands. So I had a good friend who enjoyed similar music. Her name was Mallory. And
Mallory.
We got to talking and we decided that we were going to go to Warped Tour in Salt Lake instead of Boise. I grew up an hour away from Boise, so Boise would have been like the thing to do. Like that's what would have made sense, right? And my dad just didn't want me to go. I don't know if it was, I think it was like a safety concern. He was like, my little teenage daughter going to this all-day festival with a bunch of like scumbag boys, you know?
Rocker boys.
Rocker boys.
Rocker boys.
He saw them as scumbag boys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dark hair, chains, I don't know,
Yeah.
baggy pants. No, skinny jeans.
Skinny jeans.
How dare I say baggy pants?
Long, stupid, swooped hair,
Yep.
you know?
It wasn't stupid back then because it was sexy.
It was.
It was the sexiest.
So, yeah, for whatever reason, he didn't want me to go. So we instead decided, hey, Mallory has some friends that live in Salt Lake City, and we could go visit these friends of hers, and they need help moving.
Of course. They couldn't possibly move on their own. They needed help.
They needed 2 teenage girls to come help them move.
Yes.
So
That makes so much sense.
that's what we told my dad, was we were going to Salt Lake.
And you bought it?
And totally bought it. My father trusted me.
Which literally the one time I
mostly
lied to my
deserved.
parents. Oh, yeah. The one time I lied to my parents, they caught me.
Yeah.
But, like, I was a very good kid, and I feel like you were, too.
Yeah, I was.
Like, were you straight edge?
I was straight edge.
Yeah.
I didn't boast about it, but I was. Like, that was a lifestyle that I followed.
Same.
But I wasn't, like, one that put the X's on my hands and, like, boasted about it around, you know?
Like, only if I went to a show that was under 21, like,
Yes,
would I
and
have
then you
exes,
had to. Yeah.
right? Yeah. But, oh my God, we have so many things in common. This
So many
too?
things. So many things. So Mallory and I drove in like her 92 Camaro from Payette, where I grew up, to Salt Lake, which is 4 to 5 hour drive. I don't remember right now. In an older car that, you know, probably, like, if there's a safety concern here, that was probably the safety
I know.
concern.
I'm like, you're ripping 80 miles an hour
on the freeway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
In the 92 Camaro.
in the 92 Camaro, I don't
Sounds
know.
like a song.
I don't know if that was the year of the car, but we made it to Salt Lake. I don't even think we really hung out with her friends at all. We stayed with them.
Oh, so you did go to the house that you're helping move.
Yes, but we did no help moving.
Of course.
So we stayed with them. I think we stayed maybe on their couches or like an air mattress in the living room, and we saw them, but I think it was like we showed up on the night before the tour, and then the next day, all day. It's like an all-day event, right?
Yeah.
Warped Tour. So we went to the tour, and then we probably went back to that house and slept, and then drove back home the next day. You know, so like we didn't spend hardly any time with her friends in Salt Lake. Like if I saw them now, I wouldn't know it.
Couldn't tell them.
Yeah, but we did that. So my dad didn't know about that for years. He knew that I went to Salt Lake, although he still thinks that, or not still, but oftentimes he thinks that I just lied about all of it.
Like when he retells the story.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, Dad.
You knew.
I told you I was in Salt Lake. I did not tell you I was going to Warped Tour, but like I didn't go to Salt Lake without telling you. But he didn't know until probably like 10 years later.
That's
like,
so awesome.
It was a secret for a long time.
You're still trapped.
Steel trap. Attorney-client privilege.
Yep.
Anyway, so Salt Lake was, I remember like the weather I think was fine. I remember we had a great time. I specifically remember Yellow Card. And Yellow Card put on such a great show. And I remember the violin player just like running back and forth across the stage, just so much energy, and just being like in awe of like how good they sounded. It was an album that I loved at the time, you know, still do. Like, great album.
Like I never loved them, but they had so many hits.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like when you see a performance that has so much energy, it's hard not to gravitate to it.
Yes. And especially the violin player. This guy was just running back and forth.
Ripping.
Yeah, he really was. So that was my first Warped Tour experience, was Salt Lake and Yellow Card with my friend Mallory.
Hell yeah, Mallory.
I should see what she's up to now.
Core memories.
I mean, she lives in Boise. I kind of know what she's up to. But
Core memories.
Core memories. I should ask her what kind of car it was, because I don't remember.
It was probably a 93 Camaro, not a 92 Camaro.
It was probably, yeah.
Huge difference.
Probably missed it. And then my next experience was in Boise, and it was hot. I remember it being very hot, and I remember Katy Perry being there, and her being judgy about that. And
I have so many things to say about that.
yeah.
Okay, one, we were at the same Warped Tour at the same time.
Right.
I did not set up the tent that day, though, for Bank, because we it was a smaller date and a smaller market, and we had a huge merch drop shipment that was coming in, and everything got messed up, and it was just like the most frustrating day. Also, I feel like we should also share our fun little fact around Boise.
Yes.
Before I get too far into it, because Boise is a very important city on Warped Tour, which we learned because we host trivia and emo nights and whatnot. And I guess I slightly digress here, but like if you're ever in the area, follow us on Instagram and like all of social media, all the places where you can follow us, because we'll post about it. But we have these different trivia nights and emo nights and whatnot. But we learned that Boise was the first date of the first Warped Tour ever.
Yes.
In what year? 1995.
1995 is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Should we fact check that right now?
Yeah, it was the first date of the first Warped Tour started in Boise, Idaho, which who knew? What a random thing. But yeah, my memory from Boise is very different than yours, because I'm sweating, counting cotton, counting in all the items that we got. And again, like, it was an absolute mess. Was it 1995?
Yes.
Nice. Counting in all this merch and whatnot. And I just remember thinking, like, what in the hell are we doing in Idaho? Like, what, at the time I didn't live there, right? I grew up in Montana partially too. And so I guess, like, I have some understanding for Idaho, but generally I just was like, what is this place? What's going on? It was so hot. Outside in the amphitheater, this is like grassy area and like beautiful for a concert. And then they use the parking lot. But then backstage and production and catering and all the drop shipments of the merch and stuff happened in the arena.
Right.
So I expect to go into the arena and it's like a basketball court, or concrete or something. I walk in and it's freaking dirt. There's dirt everywhere. I'm like, what is this place?
Yeah.
What is Idaho doing? The inside of their arena is dirt.
Do people come in here to watch concerts?
I like legit. It made no sense to me.
Well, I have two guesses.
Oh.
Either a rodeo had just happened or was coming up, or maybe like a bull riding event, because they do like professional bull riding. So that would make some sense.
It makes sense.
Because I can tell you, I've been there since. It is not just dirt.
It's not dirt 24/7.
It's not just
I've never been
dirt
back.
arena.
I mean, I went back to the amphitheater to see a few shows.
Outdoor shows, yeah. But never inside.
No.
So I would guess that it was either rodeo, and rodeo in summer makes a lot of sense, or a monster truck show.
Monster truck show. Definitely monster truck show.
That feels right to you.
On brand. Yeah. Oh, it was just like the weirdest thing. And so, yeah, I have very like strange, weird memories. But sorry, this is about your experience, not mine.
That's okay. Well, let's...
Oh, and Katy Perry.
Yeah.
I think to say about her, too. Yeah.
So I remember being judgy about Katy Perry being on the tour. And, you know, I was, I don't know, 18 probably.
Yeah.
And maybe 19. And I just remember being like, what is she doing here? Like,
pop artist.
It didn't make sense to me. She
Yeah.
had released her first song, her first hit, I Kissed a Girl and I Liked It. And that I remember her singing that at Warped Tour in Boise the year I was there. And I remember that I knew that she had just, that she had a history as a Christian singer.
Which I think it was like Katie Hudson, which is her real name.
Yeah. So I was like, what?
Like, what's happening? Why is she here?
Like, she has a Christian record, and then she pivots to
pop.
I Kissed a Girl and I Liked It, and she's on Warped Tour. Mm-hmm. And I just remember being a little judgy and, like, using the language of the day, being like, she's a poser. Like, what, you know?
What a poser.
And, you know, I'm not trying to be mean. Like, Katy Perry obviously is a great talent and has done very well for herself, and she's a freaking superstar. But I just remember teenage me, Katie, being like, this doesn't make sense.
Why are you here?
And it doesn't really make sense.
No. I will say, though, that, like, as it relates to pop music, she was kind of more on the alternative end of pop music because she was pushing the envelope. Back then, it was kind of pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I would consider her punk rock in the sense that, like, she's singing her own songs, she's writing her songs. I mean, obviously not all of them, but, like, she was actually behind the music where, you know, you think about the other artists that are on Warped Tour, like, they're singing live. They don't have auto-tune. Like, they're not
Yeah.
They're not doing all of that. It's still very much like raw
Yeah.
music, guitars, bass, drums, in your face. And she was doing that too.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because we saw like from day 1 to day 40 or however many dates were on that tour. Like I remember the beginning and the end and the size of her crowd. Like we all watched her rise
Yeah.
to stardom.
Right.
It was wild.
That summer. Like
it literally happened
in
that
real time.
summer.
Yeah.
Because she was just like some other chick on the tour.
Right.
You know? It
Right.
wasn't, I mean, oh my God, I should probably tell my funny story about Katy Perry.
You should.
It's just, well, it's not really about Katy Perry. It's about Travis McCoy from Gym Class Heroes, because they were dating on that tour.
Right.
And you always like to point this out, but she's featured in Cupid's Chokehold.
The music video.
The music video. She's the girl
The
in the
love
music
interest.
video.
Yeah.
In the music video. And so they were dating, and Katie and I had the same fanny pack, and it was this like pink kind of graffiti with fanny pack with gold chain. It was very distinct, and we happened, like, the chances of us having the same one, I feel like it was a very rare one, because I think I bought it at Bodega in Boston, which is like one of those secret sneaker shops that you have to go through like a secret entrance
Right.
to get into. And I remember Travi like came up behind me and like bear hugged me and was like, "What's up, baby?" or something along those lines.
And you're like, ah!
Literally, I was like, "Wait, what's going on?"
Yeah.
Because it also just startled me.
Sure.
And yeah, it was the fanny pack. I look very different than Katy Perry. And back then, my hair was blonde and black. Hers was like jet black.
Right.
But like it was just the like weirdest thing ever.
And I was like, ah.
And so to this
Where
day,
were you exactly? Like were you in your booth or what?
Oh, I thought you meant like what city. I'm like, I don't know, probably Canada. I feel like everything weird happened in Canada. No, we were backstage. Like I was probably going from the bus into the venue.
Gotcha.
Like
Yeah.
doing something like that. So yeah, it was just the wildest
Yeah.
little blip of it. I have so many, what I like to call them postcards. Just like postcards from that tour. So many memories.
Right. Well, it's wild that you guys had the same, like what a weird coincidence that you had the same fanny pack. Same with a weird coincidence that you ran into Kevin Lyman on the, reverse people mover
People
in
thing.
Phoenix.
In the airport.
Just wild.
So yeah, it was just the weirdest. But yeah, sorry, I totally digressed there. Because what about Boise? So tell me more about Boise.
I mean, I remember being hot. I don't really have a lot of like independent memories, about either tour or either time that I went.
Except for Yellow Card.
Except for Yellow Card. I do specifically remember Yellow Card. I remember We the Kings, Check Yes Juliet. I wasn't like a huge fan. I just think it was like such a hit at the time.
It was a bop.
Yeah.
That was such a big song.
Yeah. So I just remember it being so hot, and I remember paying what felt like so much money for a bottle of water, and then they took the bottle cap away from you. And I was so mad about that. I mean, I get it. It's a safety concern, whatever.
You want to know the wild thing? Is that your memory of water and my memory of water from Warped Tour are so specific.
Yes.
Because you were drinking bottled water with the cap removed for like $5 and pissed about it.
Yeah.
And I was getting canned water
Right.
that was branded and made for Warped Tour by Monster Energy Drink. And it was the most delicious water.
Oh, well, lucky you.
Like,
I just was trying to hydrate.
just hydrate. You're just trying to stay alive.
And I'm broke.
Yep.
I'm a teenager and I'm broke, and like it was hot. And
Yeah.
I just remember being like, I can't do this. But what I will say about Boise Warped Tour was it was scheduled the exact same day as the band Brand New was performing at the Knitting Factory in Boise.
Was it the Big Easy or Knitting Factory at that point?
You're right. It was the Big Easy back then.
The Big Easy.
So I remember being like, what do I do? Like,
How do you pick?
I want to go to Warped Tour so bad, and I want to see Brand New so bad. What do I do?
And thankfully, I guess, like, Warped Tour got done decently early.
Well, and that's why I asked you earlier, like, what your memory was about when it ended, because I went to both.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, I'm pretty sure I didn't, like, miss Warped Tour.
No.
Or much of it. Maybe I left a little early.
You might have missed some 303.
I don't, maybe.
Or maybe Katy Perry.
Well, no, Katy Perry I remember Katy Perry performing. I
Oh,
remember
okay.
hearing it. I didn't go see her, but I remember hearing the song.
You couldn't
I
possibly
Kissed
watch a
Girl,
poser.
And I was like, loser. But look at her now.
Yeah.
To Orlando Bloom, doing all the things. She just won like a huge award at like
Oh, the VMAs.
Yes,
She got the yeah.
like the Lifetime Achievement
Well
Award
deserved.
or whatever, and put on a great performance. And anyway, I'm not trying to talk shit on Katy Perry.
You love Katy Perry.
She is obviously a great talent and a superstar, but it's just like I remember, I already said this.
Angsty Katy.
I don't need to say it again, but I was just like, what is she doing here? So I went to Brand New after Boise Warped Tour, which nowadays, I don't know. Like, that is an exhausting day. Out in the sun all day.
A festival to a concert.
Yes. But
That's a lot.
And I'm pretty sure that I think I went to Brand New alone, because I don't think anybody else was interested in doing both. So I think I went alone. I could be wrong. I know that I met up with friends at Warped Tour, but I think I might have like driven myself, because I was going to go to Brand New.
Oh my God.
But I do have some friends that maybe I should follow up with and see if
Were they friends?
just friends, just girlfriends,
Friends?
or imaginary friends.
Yeah.
Lots of imaginary.
Were they
friends.
real?
They were real humans.
Okay, fine.
But yeah, in retrospect, or like trying to do something like that now.
Oh my God, no way.
No, thank
There's
you.
no way.
No, thank you. And then I drove an hour to get home, I'm sure.
I mean, I feel like my feet alone would be just on fire.
Yeah, because the festival was, and the Big Easy at the time, that was like an hour away from where I was living with my parents.
You're right. Yeah.
So then I had to drive home an hour.
Yep.
I'm sure I stopped at Jack in the Box because that was tradition.
Not even Taco Bell? It had to be Jack in the Box?
It was usually Jack in the Box because there was one right off the freeway on the way that was just like easy to get to.
Yep.
So anytime I went to Boise for a show, it was like usually get Jack in the Box on the way home because we had an hour drive.
I just learned something new about you. This
I
is very
know.
exciting.
Jack in the Box. Get some curly fries and Oreo milkshake. Hits the spot.
You're speaking a language I don't know because I didn't grow up around one.
No?
Uh-uh.
Oh.
I know.
Well, you're not really missing out on much. But yeah, I think those are my Warped Tour memories.
So if you had to choose like one favorite memory from all of your Warped Tour experience, what would it be?
I mean, that's a tough question just because like I've said, I don't really have distinct memories of it, which is kind of bad to say.
I almost feel like
but
I can answer it for you.
Yellow card.
Yeah. I feel like it was Yellow Card.
Yeah. Well,
And the violin player.
It is. I just didn't
Or
want
the fiddler, or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Is it a violin or is it a fiddle?
I don't know.
My understanding is that it's the same instrument, but a fiddle is like how you play it, or like what you call it. It depends on how you play it. So fiddle would be like bluegrass style.
All I can think is Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Yeah. And then violin is like usually more classical. And
Or punk rock.
is Yellow Card more classical or is it more bluegrass?
I have no idea. I don't think you can go. There's no.
Also, I'm not a fiddle expert, so I could be completely wrong, but I think it's the same instrument.
Yeah, please let us know. How wrong is she?
I'm pretty sure it's the same instrument. It's just played differently.
I have no idea.
We're
going to have to look it up.
I really believe that in my soul.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to look this up later.
So I'd call it violin.
Okay.
So what was your favorite?
But so your favorite was Yellow Card.
It's the most distinct memory I have.
Yeah. Mine.
Other than the water.
Yeah. Freaking water. Come on, water. Yeah. So mine's probably. I have so many memories that like I'm so grateful for how many memories I have on that tour, and also memories change over the course of time. But I think probably my favorite, just because it was just such a weird experience, is we were in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and we were at a country western bar line dancing with like a bunch of elderly women, and it was all these like scene emo kids that were skinny with like swoopy black hair, and they're just like their black zip up hoodies with, wearing their hoodie. It just was like the most diverse crowd.
Yeah.
Like it made no sense
Bunch of
at all.
dirty kids.
Just imagine a bunch of scene kids trying to
line dance
line dance
with old country folk.
like so weird. But there's also like there was so many other memories where like we would like when we were at different venues, we'd like we would shower where the away team would.
Right.
Or we'd have like amazing barbecues like by the buses. Like every single night was its own memory. It felt like multiple years of memories packed into one summer.
Right.
Which is like, how lucky can you be if you have that much?
Right.
That many memories.
And I bet I know of a way that you could remember more memories.
Oh, God.
Because
No.
you told me a little secret.
I forgot about this. I have a diary. I forgot that I
You could call it a journal. Does that
journal?
does that feel better?
I feel like it should be diary because it's probably super emo. And I was moving however long ago when I found it, like a year-ish ago, and I came across it, and I just literally can't eat. I completely forgot about this thing.
Yeah.
And some of the pages are so cringe that I don't even know.
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't know.
That's what diaries and journals are. It's cringy.
You might, if we decide to read any of it in here, you're gonna have to read it.
We're going to.
You're like,
Stay tuned.
When we, oh my God.
We're gonna have to pick some entries for sure.
It's about boys, I'm sure.
Oh, of course it is.
And being hot.
And of course it's mortifying. And of course it's embarrassing.
Feelings and emotions.
Being emo.
And being so emo.
So
honestly. I can't even. I have no idea what it's about. I know that I didn't go the entire tour. I know that I stopped writing at a certain point because I think sheer exhaustion, wow, can I say that word? Like was starting to set in, and I just was like, even at 21 or however old I was, like there was a point in which you're like, oh my God, I am so tired.
Yeah.
So, and you're just kind of a robot at a certain point.
Just being in the sun too all the time. Like that just drains you.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see it.
Oh my God. I'm mortified even thinking about it.
It's going to be so good.
Well, is there
We're going to get real deep on this show.
I'm nervous just thinking about it because I have no idea what's in there. I'm sure there's some great nuggets though. We'll read it, whatever. It's fine.
We're going to do it.
Okay, so aside from that, anything else Warped Tour related?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm just excited that it's coming back.
Me too.
And Kevin Lyman did say that it doesn't sound likely based on what he said that there's going to be any more dates for next year. Okay. But if it goes well next year, I think open to more dates in the future.
Right.
Also, if we want to be like cautious, if we want to be hopeful that they'll add more dates next year, 2025, there's time to work with. There's no tour scheduled for August, September, or October. So I think it's possible. Like,
interesting.
Something closer to us would be nice.
It'd be so nice. Yeah, that's my whole thing is that those dates are great because they span the United States.
Yeah.
But they're missing the middle. They're missing Denver or Salt Lake or something like that.
Yeah.
So that would be awesome.
Even like a Chicago. I mean, California would be easier for us than Chicago probably.
Yeah. But somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
They're missing something in the middle.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I, just to say it again, because I really think that like Kevin Lyman has done such a service to punk rock history, all of it. Like he's doing it right. Like I know that he's going to highlight these smaller bands. He made the ticket price so fair. He I just know it's going to be amazing. And all the booths of like the independent vendors and whatnot, like they're all going to be back.
Yeah. I'm excited.
I know. I think it's going to be really cool. And I hope it is a huge success. And obviously we're not like sponsoring it or anything. We just want it to succeed because like I want it to come back again the year following, and I want it to get bigger. Right. So
I want it to come back to Boise.
Dude. Yeah, they should just have like back to where it all started.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great.
That was my radio voice. Back to where it all started.
I've never heard you make that voice.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna close out each show with our emo lyric of the day.
Yeah.
Which I love, emo lyric of the day, and I will say the key is brevity. So, Nani, would you like to go first?
Oh, brevity. Something I'm not familiar with. Okay, well, I always like to choose a winner, and Katie always wins. Pretty much.
And you're the one that chooses, so that's saying something.
Yeah, well, it's because of brevity. And I really should take a tip from your book because I don't know how to do brevity. I normally will read like an entire verse or entire chorus because it's just so good.
That just loses people.
Yeah. And yeah, so my song of the day, or I should say my lyric of the day, is from the song The Thespian by Alisana, which, fun little fact about Alisana, because I'm choosing the song because we shared a tour bus on the 2008 Warped Tour with them. Their band name stems from one of the guys in the band grew up on the corner of like Alice and Anna Street. Maybe that's like where they had band practice or something. But it's, Alice and Anna Street.
Which, that will help me to remember to say it correctly, because I always like to try to say Alisana, which is apparently not correct.
Here we go, you know.
Alisana.
There you go, Alisana.
The Thespian.
The Thespian. Okay, so I had a more brief lyric, but I just decided to change it last minute.
Oh.
Because I am feeling even more emo about the fact that my diary probably has some just the most emo things in it. And it could be something like this. So the lyric goes, I touch your lips and stare in your eyes. You smile and it makes me fly. You are the reason my heart beats. Tonight, it's just you and me.
Oh. It's too long.
It's always too long.
Great lyrics, but in my opinion,
Too long.
too long.
But imagine, like, I feel like I probably could have written that lyric from my experience on that Warped Tour.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
You know, it just brings me back. It brings me back.
I love that it brings you back. I picked a low-hanging fruit, I would say, for today, because I talked about Yellow Card being my most memorable Warped Tour experience, so it's a Yellow Card song.
Who's Yellow Card? Joking.
It's Ocean Avenue, the lowest of the fruit, because it's their big hit, you know. But
An apple, if you will.
It's just such a great song. It's such a great song. And this lyric, you know, when you read through the lyrics and then when you say them out loud, it just is so much different than when you hear them sing it. So the lyric is, there's a piece of you that's here with me. It's everywhere I go. It's everything I see. And I just love that because
I love that.
I feel like, you know, that song is about like reminiscing about young love. And it definitely resonates with that. But I think it's any relationship, right? It's maybe a friendship that's drifted. It's you know, an older relationship. It doesn't have to be a young relationship. But it's just, you take people in, you know, when they're in your family or they're a good friend or they're you know, romantic relationship of yours. And then if that relationship ends, they're still with you.
For sure.
Whether it's because you just drifted away or, you know, you got in a big blow-up fight or, like, they passed and, you know, like, grieving. Like, you take people with you.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a very emo lyric.
It's so emo, but, like, even more so, I just forget how impactful emo lyrics are when you read them versus when you hear them sing. Because that's, like, a huge song, right?
Yeah. Massive.
We all know those lyrics.
Yeah.
When you just read them to me, they hit completely different.
Right.
Completely different.
Yeah.
You win. Whatever.
Okay.
She always wins.
You're the judge.
I'll be the judge every week.
If you
And you'll continue to win.
too much, then I'll tell you it's not fair. But
Oh my God.
For now, I'm winning.
Yeah.
Oh.
1 for 1.
By the way,
How does it feel to be a winner? Oh my God, you have thumb holes?
I have thumb holes
in
my sweatshirt.
That is so emo.
I love it.
Yeah, you do.
Anyway, that's it.
That's it.
Thank
Oh my
you
God, I
so
had so
much.
much fun.
So much fun. I think this went really well. Hopefully people enjoy it.
Yeah, I hope so too. And you know, we should just say, if you have any like memories of Warped Tour, like we want to hear it. We want to know photos, like ridiculous or funny stories.
Yes.
Like please DM us, reach out to us.
If you
Like,
own bank clothing.
oh my God, if you own Bank clothing,
Yes.
thanks for saying that because I wouldn't have even thought of that. But like, please reach out. Like, do you own the purple hoodie? You know?
Yeah.
Oh my God, or there's deeper cuts of our merch.
Right.
There's some crazy stuff.
Yeah, send us a DM on Instagram at the Emo Hour. Leave us a comment.
At the Emo Hour Girls.
At the Emo Hour Girls.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like blacked out for a second for some reason.
And then I was going to
This
say,
should be on YouTube. Leave a comment on YouTube.
Please
Give
do.
us a review. Give us 5 stars.
yeah, like and
On all the
subscribe.
platforms.
Yeah, like and subscribe, because we're hoping that people are going to listen.
Yeah.
I mean, our dads are going to listen. Yeah, dads.
They listen to our radio show and they do not like the music. So this they'll enjoy more because it's us.
Yeah, for sure. But we just want to know, like, are you listening? Hopefully you are.
Are
And
you listening?
what? Maybe we shouldn't sing. That's not our strong suit.
Singing is not our strong suit.
No.
But you were an all-city choir.
You're so right. I was an all-city choir. I have perfect pitch.
Okay.
But yeah, like, subscribe, and I'm really thankful for this episode. This was really
Yes.
fun.
We did it.
We did it.
Thanks for listening to the very first episode of the Emo Hour podcast.
Hell yeah. And we'll be back next week. We'll be back weekly.
Yes.
And we'll be bringing back all sorts of our, just our regular bullshit.
Our regular
bullshit.
Back on our bullshit.
Back on our bullshit.
All right. Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.